times basically technology landscape changes. Like new technologies come into picture, which you may not have any experience or education for. Right? So being able to work with variety of different people, variety of different skills basically comes along like that. Full stack technology, what I mean by basically that is like within technology, you might imagine several different careers, right? Mechanical engineering, like optics engineering, like color science, like semiconductor device physics, like semiconductor manufacturing, compilers basically there, AI, like all of those are like technologies basically there. Right? And being able to work across technologies is what I like label as full stack technologist. In fact, the way it had unfolded, even though this term in industry didn't used to be very common like earlier, people observing me and seeing kind of like how I was able to work through multiple different like fields, right? Actually coined that term referring to me, said, "Hey, Alok, you shouldn't call yourself system architect, call yourself basically technology architect." That's what basically proceeded for me, right? So in that basically sense, I can give certain examples, right? So we recently had Chandrayaan probe, which was like sent to the moon, right? Now think about how much of engineering would have gone basically like into it. It's a mechanical device, it's an aerodynamic like device, right? There's obviously some hardware in it, some motors in it, some software in it, right? And there's even basically AI like in it, right? So I mean, to be able to make something like that basically work out requires basically that like very wide range of like skills, typically in a team, but often in many individuals working on the team as well. Right. So that's how basically I see like full stack technology, and it enables you to think about like problems and solve complex problems, which like any given field like person would not be able to solve. To be a full stack technologist, you need to know many different technologies. If you are very curious about variety of different things, right, then you basically keep trying those different things, right? Even if opportunity is not coming to you, right? When you try different things, right, you end up developing those skills in those different things, right? When you develop those skills, one way or the other, opportunities land with you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what basically happened for me. Like it was not that like I had a career or education in basically like multidisciplinary thing, because that wasn't a thing during my time. Right. But I kept on pursuing multiple different things, and the opportunity just came along because I gathered that skill. So I think that's why the core basically is one have to like dwell into oneself and ask, like, are you interested in a lot of different things? Or can you basically are so deeply interested in one specific thing so that you want to basically pursue just that, right? And if you are like very widely curious, like I used to be, right? And I am in fact, right? So kind of like you end up dwelling into multiple different things, right? But along the way, when I retrospect, right, I realized there were a couple principles I followed even from like childhood days, even during my early career, right? And one of them was exactly this, that I don't want to narrow myself down into one specific thing. I want to basically keep my interest broad and so on, right? And thereby basically I tried to develop insights into a variety of different fields. I used to have a lot of questions on my mind. Being full stack technologist, by definition, one is asking to be able to learn a variety of different subjects, right? It does come with some compromise because you have to like weed out the insights from basically detail, right? So I may not be interested in basically knowing, okay, what's the shortcut to basically like copy and paste, but the concept of a copy paste is a thing in itself. I'm just to give a like a bad example, right? So basically that's the thing, right? So like you end up basically finding those like nuggets of like insights into basically everything, right? Then basically, so this is how you delve into like large number of like courses to be able to become like full stack technologist, right? But then I also find basically there are some fields like robotics, right? We already talked about the example of Chandrayaan, right? So robotics and space sciences, and then even industrial automation, right? I mean, not everybody will be working on the Chandrayaan like project, but industrial automation basically is a thing, right?
Right.
So most of the stuff we buy, we actually underestimate how much automation is behind it, right? So even this cup getting made, that was the mouse getting made, so much machinery is behind that, right? And that's mechanical, that's electronics, and increasingly that will see more and more AI also like come to basically that, right? So I think those are fields where you will also find some popular like process, like coursework and subjects really like that you can pursue. If you are not into those fields, I can still pursue like something else, right? And then like some other courses I recommend. There's one very I've not gone through it myself because like by the time I knew it all already. It's called NAND through Tetris. right? It starts from logic gates like NAND, right?
Yeah.
And then basically it goes on to how to make digital circuits and how to make processors like that, and how to make compilers. Ultimately, you end up making like a Tetris game that you can play on a computer. So I think that's one of the courses I've seen which is like very extended in that basically regard, and I think could be very useful for people who want to like either have that wide curiosity or want to get into full stack technology. So first off, I'll start with what do you specifically ask programming languages like in itself, right? And then the common recommendation you'll find, which I also align to, is for people to try to learn at least like 2 languages, if not more, right? That they may be popular languages in today's world. It might be Java and Python and so on, right? Then they might want to learn some other like interesting languages like Haskell, Ruby, which bring very different like paradigms, right? But I think that all those will tend to reside in just the programming world, right? But like there are languages which are hitting outside programming, which are like not very popular, right? So and kind of learning them can be like mind-opening for like people, right? And it kind of become essential for people who are like in multi-stack like technologies, right?
Right.
So some examples that are there include hardware description languages like VHDL, Verilog, right? On the face of it, they would look very similar to usual programming languages, but the way they work inside, they're designed for massive like concurrency, because hardware, all logic gates are acting in parallel, right? So that's how basically it is, right? So I think learning those languages basically just for the concept of it, even to I recommend those to people, even though they are like just doing traditional programming, just to open their mind up, right? So those hardware description languages is one thing, right? Then there are like system design languages like Modelica and like System C, right? These ones are like designed around not as pure software, not as pure hardware, but you can like simulate whatever kind of system is in it, right? And yet another like language or type of language I recommend to people is called symbolic computing languages. Okay. I think most popular example of that is like Wolfram Mathematica,